Hi everybody, I'm Solomon, the Arkansas Diamond Miner. We're back for the second in a series of rock tumbling videos. These are the rocks that I've started tumbling from the Crater of Diamond State Park. There is a first video that's already out. If you've not seen it, then I'll put a link up across the top where you can click on that, go back to it, watch the first of the series, and then this will be the second of the series. These are some rocks that I already have that have gone through the tumbling, the first stage. So today I'm going to kind of take you through and see what they look like, and we'll kind of get them rinsed off, get a good look at them, and I'll go over some of the tips that I've picked up along the way. I've been doing a little bit of reading. One of the other diamond miners, I've mentioned him before, his name is Troy from Louisiana. He's done a lot of tumbling. He's made some really beautiful rocks, so he's kind of giving me some tips to go along with, and we'll go ahead and crack these drums open and see what we've got now. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to show you, I got my rock tumbler set up out here so you can see this. With these double drum tumblers, you could have two different steps going at the same time. So what I've done is I've marked these 1 and 2, and I'll show you here in a minute. What's been highly recommended to me is to keep a journal or something, a chart, something to kind of keep track of exactly what you've got going, which drum it's in, when it started, when it's done, what step it's in. So what I've done, I have got a planner so that I can write in which drum was started, which days, what step it's in, and that'll kind of help me keep track of which ones I've got going, which ones should be ready, and so on. So we'll go ahead and take these. These are both on the coarse grit right now. Number 1 has actually been going for 3 days longer than number 2. So they both should have some stones that are ready. They should have a few more stones. This one actually has some of the rejected. The last batch that I started, I only did 1 drum, I think it was, and I rejected most of the stones because they still had a lot of pits and stuff. So we'll get into these and look and see what they look like. All right, looks like the slurry looks about like it should. This was the drum that's been going for a few more days than this one. We'll see what this one looks like. Slurry's not quite as light colored. I'm guessing that it's because either the rocks were a little bit different or ran for a different amount of time. So I'm going to go ahead and get these rinsed off and lay them up here, and we'll kind of see what we've got to start with. So one thing that I didn't do was bring a strainer out with me, but I got a 5-gallon bucket handy, so I'm going to rinse these into this 5-gallon bucket. One of the main things, you do not want to get this slurry into your plumbing of your house, because it will clog your pipes up. And these sat turned off for a few minutes, and you can see there's a pretty good, it looks like mud. Some of that might be a little bit of lamprite that was stuck on the rocks from the Crater of Diamonds. But also that second barrel, I got some of the ceramic media to fill it, just to top it off a little bit. So some of those are in here too, but I'll get a bunch of water running in this and go ahead and see if I can get these rinsed off where you can see what they turned out like. All right, so I've got most of these rocks out. Let me get these little pieces of ceramic media. These are just little ones that I've bought from Harbor Freight. I think you can get a little 5-pound jar of them. Not super expensive, but so the rocks, they look a lot better when they're wet. I've got a bucket of water right here. So at this stage, you kind of want to cull out any of the rocks that still have lots of pits and stuff where they might trap some of the grit and carry it forward to the next stage. So a couple of these, I think this is one of the pieces that was rejected last time, and it looks like it's going to be rejected again because it still just has a lot of pitting right here. The jasper, most of the jasper was already really smooth to begin with, so I'm going to say that can probably move ahead to the next step. So I'm going to go through and kind of sort these out, and I'll make 2 piles to show you of stones that are ready to go the next step and stones that are rejected back to step 1. All right, so I've got these sorted into 2 piles here. So these, I think that's in the wrong pile. These rocks are all fairly smoothed over. They've got some little crevices on them. I'm going to clean these up a little bit more. They're really pretty, especially when they're wet. You can see, you can see the colors a lot more vividly when these rocks are wet. I mean, most of them come out real pretty. I mean, there are a lot of them that are pretty before they even go in there. That's going to be a really neat one. It's got all kinds of bands going through it. Something I've kind of discovered here is those bands that go through the rocks. Some of those bands will have little pits in them. This is a piece of agate, and as it tumbled, it opened up another little pore right there. So these things are pretty tough. I mean, they're keeping their shape pretty well. I think that one's actually been through once before this round. This was in the very first step that I did. So you can see I've rejected a lot fewer this time and kept a lot more. But these are, I'm not sure how well you can see that, but just loaded with color and a lot of character and stuff. That's going to be a real pretty one right there. It's still got a little bit of crevices on it. Yeah. So the pieces of agate that I have, some of these are going to move on to the next step. That's still got just a little bit of a crease right there. I'll have to watch that. But after the second step, you really got to be a lot more careful about how you clean them up. So I went and got a scrub brush, but I don't think I'm going to pass any of them. If there are any of them that need a lot of cleaning at this step, I'm just not going to pass them forward. I'm going to keep them, I'm going to reject them back to another step 1. I'm not sure about that. It's a pretty deep crevice right there. I don't know how that's going to work. It's flat inside, so it shouldn't trap anything, but that's just got a piece. This is a piece of jasper with a big band through it, and that's, I think that was in the very first of step 1 that I did, and it's starting to look real nice. I think it's ready to pass forward to the next step. So anyhow, that's probably need to stay up here. So as what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and load up 1 barrel with what's going to be step 2, and anything rejected out, I'm going to go ahead and start another barrel of step 1. Looks like I'll have to have a few more rocks. So this is going to be our step 1. Yeah, I can throw a few more rocks in there. That's almost half full. So that'll get a few more rocks. I've got a whole pile of them over here. All the same as these. I'll take you over there and show you real quick. So this is my next pile of rocks. That's another banded piece of jasper. I do want to do some more of the conglomerate. They are just super nice when they're finished. The problem I'm running into is that as the outsides of them wear down, they open up more pores. So the jaspers are not too bad. The agates are real pretty, and the conglomerate pieces are just beautiful. So you can see that's, I may just slice that and polish, I don't know. Pretty piece of jasper. All right, so these are all the rocks that are going from step 1 to step 2. If I can fit them all in there. Looks like they'll fit. Yeah, I may have to leave one out. Yeah, I was kind of iffy about that one, so I'll leave it out. Alright, so these are going to get the fine grit, and went ahead and purchased a 5-pound box of the coarse grit. Anyway, so this is going to be step 2. This is going to be step 1. Went ahead and picked up some more rocks. Picked them out of my pile over there. That's a big piece of conglomerate. That's probably going to have to go a couple times, but you got to start them sometime. Sounds like the neighbor has decided to mow today, so I'm going to go ahead and get this wrapped up. Get these rocks in. Yeah, I don't know. I may leave that one out too. All right. Pass on that one. All right, so I've got all my rocks loaded in here. This is going to be my step 2. This is going to be my step 1. So I'm going to just go ahead and make sure that I keep note of position 1 is going to be that step. Position 2 is going to be the step 2. So I was telling you I've got a planner, so I'm going to go ahead and mark down in my planner today's date and position 1 with step 1, position 2 with step 2. If you guys have any recommendations for me, leave them in the comments. Anything that I should do different or can do different or get better results with, anything like that. Like I said, this is my very first time to tumble rocks, so it's a learning process for me. I've got a pretty good mentor already. Nothing says that you guys can't give me some tips and pointers as we go through this. So if you leave a comment for me, I'd sure appreciate it. And like I said earlier, if you've seen this video without seeing the first video, there should be a link to that somewhere in this video, and then also there should be a link here pretty close for the playlist that will contain all of the videos I produce for tumbling rocks. So I'm going to go ahead and get these things going and get everything wrote down in my planner that I need to get wrote down. Hopefully if you like what you're seeing, you've subscribed, hit your notification icon, and I'll see you when these are done.